everybody, and welcome in to Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. I'm your host, Trage. It is Wednesday, July 3rd. Hopefully you stayed a little bit dry yesterday. It was hard to. It rained. Morning, got some rain up here in central Wisconsin, and then in the afternoon, it seemed like it was about 2 hours of just straight, not even a downpour at times, more of just a rain that ticks you off just a little bit. A lot of rain. Let's just go with that. A lot of rain last night. Yesterday morning and into the evening there. Talking about more rain on the way later this week. What can you do? Hopefully, everybody's still able to enjoy the 4th, but as we know, the weather doesn't like us too much here in the state of Wisconsin when it comes to rain. So definitely probably going to see some rain here in the next week and weekend coming up here. So with that, let's get into today. It's a great day. It's a great Wednesday, hump day, as they call it, right? Hump day. Can't get over it, Great day here. We got lots to get into. Bucks. I got a little bit to talk about with the Bucks. Packers, some potential breakout candidates for this next season. Wanted to look at a couple that I thought, just off the top of my head, maybe potential guys that I could see breaking out this next season here. A little bit of MLB talk. I want to look around at the MLB standings today. I want to look at, the power rankings, see where everybody is sitting right now. A little bit of Brewer talk, and then Fresh on the Farm. We haven't done a Fresh on the Farm report in a while. It's been a hot minute since we've done Fresh on the Farm. So I want to look and do a little bit of a Fresh on the Farm report today to kind of get back to the usual. Got to get back to the usual with the Fresh on the Farm report. So right away, looking at the Bucks. And a question kept coming across social media, and also, looking at some of these, ESPN, everything like that. They've been talking about the Bucks. They've been talking about the East in general. And, Boston, they're signing some of their stars back, right? And looking around at some of the other teams, Sixers, they add Paul George. The Knicks, they get Mikal Bridges, right? Teams are making moves. And the biggest question that everybody keeps asking is, okay, where do the Bucks sit? Last season, heading into last season, they were the odds-on favorite. Everybody, experts and, betting people, the betting man out there, they were all saying, well, we see this Bucks team as the number one. Well, that changed, right? So where does this Bucks team sit heading into next season, right? You got Dame, you got Giannis, Middleton. You're hoping for a healthy Middleton heading into this next season here. Brooke Lopez looks like he will most likely be back from what we can see so far. There's been rumors. I'm not going to deny the rumors right now. Potential trade suitors that, they might dump off. Not dump off. That sounds bad when I say dump off, but send Brooke Lopez to and try to acquire some pieces. There's been a lot of rumblings about that. So, to me, if everything stays plumb the way that it is, there's going to be some bits and pieces, right? The Bucks added a guard yesterday and DeLand Wright. There's going to be bits and pieces moving around the Bucks. I don't believe the Bucks are probably done yet. I would hope not. They got some roster spots that they have available to them. I could see them adding a couple more pieces yet. Will those pieces be all-star caliber? I'm not going to say that. But I do believe that they are going to add some pieces yet. So if it sits as it is right now, if we're looking at this Eastern Conference and we're saying to ourselves, okay, the Boston Celtics, they just, they outright won the East last season. Completely blew everybody out of the water. That's the way that they projected the Bucks and the Celtics to kind of duel it out, but the Bucks to be on top when it ended. And it was a complete opposite and even worse if you are a Milwaukee Buck fan. So we see that with the Bucks, right? We see that with the Bucks. We see the Celtics standing at the top. Sixers, they ran into trouble all season long. Harris never turned out. Joel Embiid got hurt. Maxey was he did his thing, right? But there was no help around him. So the Sixers kind of fell off, right? But now you get Embiid back, right? And you get Paul George via the free agency. Really bolsters up that roster, right? Makes that roster look a little bit better. They got lots of pieces to add yet, though. I mean, they had a lot of free agents. They have a lot of pieces to add yet, so it's going to be something to see what they do. You got the Pacers. I mean, that's a young roster. That's a built roster yet. So the Pacers will be up there. The Knicks, like I said, Brunson, Randall. They add Mikal Bridges. That's a pretty darn good piece. And, I mean, they got Josh Hart already. They have Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, and Mikal Bridges. There's only one man out there who can knock them off in playoffs, and that's going to be Nigel Hayes. So if the Bucks face this Knicks team in the playoffs, they have to bring Nigel Hayes up out of the herd. He's got to come up from the herd there, and he's got to jump onto the roster because that man, he knows how to beat him, right? He knows how to beat. If you're a Badger fan, you understood that. If maybe you're not, look it up. Badgers upset Villanova. Nigel Hayes hit the not game-winning shot, but go-ahead bucket for the Badgers late in that one. A pretty crafty move by Nigel Hayes, too, as I recall. On the baseline there, a little hesitation and a little scoop and score there. That was fantastic stuff, but I'm getting off track here with that. So where do the Bucks stand, right? I think right now it's hard to dethrone the Celtics, right? I mean, everybody's basically coming back. You're going to have Porzingis back, Tatum, Brown, Drew Holiday, Derek White, Al Horford seems to never retire, right? Sam Hauser played very well last season. I'm expecting he's probably going to get a payday from the Celtics there. Pritchard, still on that team. They have a pretty good roster through and through. So the Celtics, to me, it runs through Boston. Right? It still runs through Boston. I would love to tell you right now that I believe it's going to run through Milwaukee, but it's not. I don't think so. I just don't think so right away. You know, until proven otherwise, I see it running through Boston, right? So, okay, so we got Boston up at the top. Now this is where it gets tricky, right? Because the 76ers, they go and add Paul George. Now, Paul George, getting a little bit older, injury prone. Right? That's the thing that worries you if you are a Sixers fan with Paul George. Injury prone. Joel Embiid, injury prone. So you have Joel Embiid, you have Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey. Those are the big three. That's a solid big three when healthy. Paul George is a great two-way player, right? Great two-way player. Joel Embiid, he gets you. He gets you buckets. Tyrese Maxey, same thing. And the man can facilitate. We know that about Tyrese Maxey. He can facilitate the basketball. Sixers are a tough team, right? And then you got the Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton, Siakam, Miles Turner, right? That's a solid team, too. That's a solid ball club. And then you look at the Knicks, or like I've said, with Mikal Bridges, Brunson, and Randall. So those are four pretty good three, like, you know, you go with your big threes, right? Your big threes have always, it seemed like it was always the thing. And then it kind of switched to duos, right? We had Jokic and Murray. We had, I mean, looking around, you had Luka and Kyrie. You had Tatum and Brown. You had Giannis and Dame, right? It was looking around. But now the stars are kind of aligning together, as we're seeing. The Bucks, you got Giannis, Dame, and Middleton, right? And when Middleton's healthy, and this, you know, some people might not agree with me on this. When Middleton's healthy, he is a very good scorer. Like in a late game situation, I think the Bucks might be in the best situation. And you might be rolling your eyes or telling me, like, what do you mean? What do you mean, best situation? I could honestly trust Middleton to take a game-winning shot, and I would trust it's going to go in. Right, we saw that last season in the playoffs there against the Pacers. He did everything he could in that game. Oh, I can't remember if it was game 4, game 3, where it went to overtime. Middleton made it to go to overtime and then hit the shot to tie it there in overtime, I believe. Middleton, I mean, he's a big shot guy, right? It's not like we're Max Kellerman saying Andre Iguodala with laser beams pointing at Earth and he needs somebody to hit a shot. Andre Iguodala. Right, but I mean, I look at Middleton, and he's a big-time, big shot guy, right? And the mid-range. You look at the Bucks, and it's like you have 3-level scoring with three guys right now put together, right? I think Giannis's best spot is on the interior, and I think a lot of people are the same thing, right? We don't love it when Giannis shoots threes. Is it great when it goes in 100%? But it's not his spot, right? I like Giannis in the paint. I like Giannis maybe a good 10-footer. I don't trust Giannis at the three-point line. Dame, I trust him. Right, Dame, that's his spot. He can get to the basket, right? He can get to the basket. He can hit a mid-range, but Dame's spot is on the perimeter. And then I look at Middleton. And Middleton and that mid-range shot, that is just something that goes together like peanut butter and jelly, right? It goes together like peanut butter and jelly. I don't know, whatever your favorite sandwich is, right? Maybe mayonnaise and turkey, or, maybe cheese and bread for grilled cheese. I don't know. Whatever your favorite sandwich combo is. That's how it goes together, right? And so to me, I think the Bucks have a dynamic there where they have potential at each. Middleton is a guy who can get to the rim too, and he's a guy who, he can shoot the three ball. So all in all, you look at the East, I think the East is actually getting better, right? Way better this next season. I think that I named off 5 teams there. And that's not even adding in teams like the Heat, who could potentially find it, like Jimmy Buckets, right? Jimmy and Bam Adebayo. That's a team who could figure it out a little bit. Eric Spoelstra is a great coach. He's a great coach. If there's a coach that's going to figure it out, it's Eric Spoelstra. So, you could be talking about the Heat in there too. You could be talking about the Cavs. They locked up D. Mitchell. That could be a potential team with Darius Garland. I believe he's still going to be around. You never know. But you're talking about a Eastern Conference, the Magic, who are on the rise, right? They played pretty good basketball last year. The Magic, who are on the rise. The Eastern Conference is getting good, right? You think not too long ago, the Eastern Conference was kind of top-heavy, right? Now I think it's really spread out, because I could see the Eastern Conference finishing in multiple different directions. I really do think that there's only 3 teams, to me, that will finish potentially in first place. I really do think it's between the Celtics, the 76ers, and the Bucks. I really do. I think the Bucks, to me, Damian Lillard needed a year. A lot of crap happened in that offseason. And then, you look, in season, you switch head coaches midway through. I think Dame truthfully needed a year, right? And he got through that year. And I think this next season is going to be we're going to see Damian Lillard at his full, right? A lot of people saying that it was just because he shot so much in Portland and everything like that. Damian Lillard's still a good shooter. He's a great scorer. Is he a good defender? No. Is he a good scorer? 100%. So, honestly, like I was saying, Dame needed that year. I think Middleton, for me, and I don't know if this is the truth, but watching Middleton, it was like he was trying to find his role. Right? Because with Jrue Holiday, I thought Middleton was that second guy. Holiday was the facilitator. He got his own when he did, right? But Giannis was the man, and Middleton was it was like Batman and Robin, right? It was Batman and Robin with those two. And then you had, okay, let's go Superman, Batman, and Jrue Holiday was Robin, right? So Superman's Giannis. I'm trying to think of like a trio there. But, Drew's job was just to facilitate, right? He did a heck of a job. He's a great defender, facilitated, did his thing, scored when he had to. When it was open, when it was present, he scored the basketball too. But Middleton was that number 2. And then Dame walks in the room. Now Dame and Giannis are trying to figure out whose team it is and everything like that. They can't figure it out. And then Middleton's now in there too. He comes back from injury. Last season was an injury plague season for Middleton, so that doesn't help. But when he got in there, it's like Middleton was still trying to find his place, right? He was trying to find his place on that team. Was he the number 2? Was he the 3? What was he supposed to be? If these 3 they can mesh, right? They can mesh. They can figure out tendencies. They can figure out what the other guys, strengths are, what is everything like that, the team chemistry portion of it, putting it all together. I think that these 3 could lead this Bucks team to a first place finish in the East. It's going to be tough. It is going to be, like I said, this Eastern Conference now is a gauntlet of a schedule. You got the Celtics, You got the Pacers, you got the Knicks, you have the 76ers, right? You have the Heat, you have the Magic, you have the Cavs. This is 7 good teams. You have a couple of, I believe, above average, right? Above good. And then you have some good teams mixed in there. I think it's really, it is honestly, I could not be a betting man right now. I could definitely not be a betting man and walk into a casino right now and put money on any of these teams because I could see, the Sixers, right? If Joel Embiid gets injured, that changes the whole dynamic, right? If Paul George gets injured, now you're back to square one. You're back to what it was, right? And I mean, Bucks, same scenario with the Bucks. Look at last season. Without Giannis in the playoffs, without Dame for portions of the playoffs, without Middleton for portions of the season, it all changes the dynamic of this team. What happens with the Celtics? If Tatum, I mean, knock on wood, I don't want to see anybody get hurt, but Tatum, Brown, it can all change. I could never be a betting man. There's too many variables in it, right? There's too many variables. It would make me nervous. I'm a guy, if I was going to place a bet, I'm not much of a betting guy, right? I get told that I would blow money on it, right? But if I was a bet man, I would have to be like game off, right? If the Bucks were playing the Celtics in game 5 of the, let's just say, Eastern Conference Finals, like I could make a bet then, but I could not make a bet before the season even started. It's just too much that can happen. I mean, we remember the offseason when Klay Thompson was working out in California and he ended up hurting himself being out for the year, right? And so it's so tough. It really baffles me when people do these bets so early. And I know, some people have a lot of money. They have a lot of money to burn. And if you bet the right way, you might end up winning a lot. I get that. And to each their own. I mean, if it's legal in your state and you want to go spend some money, be my guest. I'm not stopping anybody. All I'm saying is that, in my opinion, the way that I would feel on situations, I wouldn't want to be a bet man. I wouldn't want to be a bet man. I'd blow some money. So, I mean, like I said, the Eastern Conference, I feel like it's so spread out. It's hard to pick a top 3 in the East, but if I had to, I'd be looking Sixers, Bucks, and Celtics. That would be my top 3 in the Eastern Conference right now. That'd be my top 3 with some other teams hovering right around them. And I mean, the East, like I said, the Eastern Conference is going to be a gauntlet, and I can't wait to watch it there. So with that, before we move on here, I want to get to some Packer talk, but before we get there, I want to mention some sponsors of the show here quick. First, Game Day Supply in Alaska. Do you have a sports club or team? Are you looking for some sweet custom uniforms or apparel? Check out the awesome crew at Game Day Supply in Alaska to help your team get the sweetest gear. Find them on Facebook at Game Day Supply or online at GameDaySupply.net. Also, Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. If you've been injured recently, whether it was at work, whether you were pushing the lawnmower, playing with the kids, whatever it was, you were injured, you felt something pop, something doesn't feel right, and you think you might need to get checked out by a physical therapist. Your doctor said, go see a physical therapist for that. Stop in there or call down to Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. See Chad. In my opinion, one of the best in the business. You'll find out there. Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. He'll get you right. He'll get you back to work, back to playing with the kids, back to mowing the lawn, whatever it is. He'll get you back there. Sport and Spine Clinic in Greenwood, Wisconsin. Sports Scene, Sports Cards, and Memorabilia, located in the Marshfield Mall in Marshfield, Wisconsin. You got to get down there and see Al. He has everything you need, from sporting cards to memorabilia, jerseys, model stock cars. He's got it all. Sports Scene in Marshfield. Marshfield Motor Speedways, located just 3 miles outside of Marshfield on County Road H. You got to get down there this summer. Tons of family fun for all ages. Great food, great drinks, great atmosphere. Nothing better for a great summer day or night getting out with the family there. Find the schedule online or on Facebook. Just search Marshfield Motor Speedways. Otherwise, go to my Facebook page. When they share a schedule or an update, I share it to the Facebook page there. So I keeping everybody informed on what's going down at the great Marshfield Motor Speedways there, located just outside of Marshfield. Pittsville Farm and Home Center. At the store, they serve you anything from hydraulic hoses to red roses. Stop in and see the awesome crew at Pittsville Farm and Home Center in Pittsville, Wisconsin. And your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty. Call Peggy, Sue, or Anna to find your dream home, or if you're looking to sell, find them on Facebook at your hometown team, Century 21 Gold Key Realty, or stop in and see them at their location in Marshfield, Wisconsin. But with that, Packer talk. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've talked Packers. I want to get into some Packers today because we got to be talking, getting closer and closer into next season. We're in July already. It's crazy. It is crazy. It is already the month of July. We're getting closer and closer to that first kickoff. I know we got to sit through preseason first, and it feels like almost a false hope, right? You're watching preseason, you're getting yourself all kinds of excited, but at the same time, you get to watch some promising rookies. You get to see guys that you normally wouldn't see out there. You get to see them on the roster at that point there. So I want to look at my potential breakout candidates for this next season here. I got a couple. I got 6. There probably could have been more. I got 6 though. I put 6 down on the board. It might be bad, might be good. You might agree with me, you might not. You might have your own. I'd love to hear who your breakout candidates are. As you know, go into the bio there. It says send us a text message. Click that. That'll send you to a link to send us a message there. I want to know who your potential breakout candidate is. But I'm looking, my potential breakout candidates, I start with some possibilities. These are my possibility guys. Now, they might never turn out to be anything, but these are my guys who they couldn't do worse, right? They couldn't do worse. My first guy is Eric Stokes. First round pick out of Georgia. We've been waiting on Eric Stokes to finally get out there and show us what we drafted you for, right? You were supposed to be the guy to be on the opposite of Jair. You were supposed to be the next big corner that we'd have in the room. We were never supposed to fear. And injuries and problems have just persisted. So, I mean, looking at last season, 5 solo tackles for him. He didn't play a lot. He got in there against Carolina. He had those 5 total tackles against Carolina there. 4 solos, and then looking at the game against Tampa Bay, he had 1 tackle, right? So not a whole lot of game action last year for Eric Stokes. The athletic ability that we saw coming out of the draft, he was a ball hawk. He was a guy who could get downhill. He was a guy, good cover corner, right? I could see Eric Stokes being a potential breakout candidate. A comeback player, as you could say. A comeback player. Because truthfully, unless he gets hurt again, it could not be worse. It could not be worse. The Packers really, and I mean, this is like a desperate cry, but they really need Eric Stokes to show up this next season to make that pick look like it was worth something. We're talking round 1, pick 29. Like, this is a pretty, not a high up there. Like, you're not talking top 15 anymore, but inside the first round, if you're going to draft somebody, you want somebody with a little bit of potential there. Eric Stokes had a little bit of potential. We haven't seen it out there yet because of injuries, because of problems. There's just been something going on along the way. So Eric Stokes is one of my potential comeback players. We'll call him potential breakout, but potential comeback at the same time. This is another guy I have. He's a little bit of both too. Potential comeback and potential couldn't be worse, and potential could be worse. I guess it could be worse. And potential breakout candidate. That is the kicker. That is Anders Carlson, right? Anders Carlson last season could be the reason why the Packers did not go to the NFC Championship and potentially could have gone to the Super Bowl last season the way that they were cooking. That missed field goal by Anders Carlson might have been the thing that screwed the Packers over a shot to play the Lions with a shot at the Super Bowl. And I mean, if they would have beat the 49ers, you would have knocked off the Cowboys and then knocked off the 49ers. Talk about riding into Detroit on a high note, right? I mean, that's a tough moment. That's really tough momentum to break if you are the Lions. So Anders Carlson, a lot of people probably wish that Anders Carlson would have gotten the boot last season at points. I know a lot of people were calling for Mason Crosby to come back. They said it couldn't be worse with Crosby. I know he was getting a little bit older, but at least he could hit the extra points and everything like that. And I mean, truth be told, I was definitely in that same boat at one point last season. And it amplified watching that NFC divisional round there, where I had to watch him miss that field goal, a big field goal for the Green Bay Packers. Could have been a game changer. So leading into this next season, like I said, and I said this earlier, could it actually be worse? Well, yeah. I mean, it could be. This could be just like the worst thing we've ever seen. Like shanking everything, putting footballs through the back of the end zone on every... I mean, it could definitely be worse. But to me, I feel like it has to get better. His 81% field goal percentage was 29th in the league. His extra point percentage was 33rd. That's rough. That means some other scrub kicker who replaced somebody else was still above you. So that's rough. There. His long was 53, 115 total points. His field goal percentage in the playoffs was 66%, 2 for 3. I mean, he only had those 2 chances against the 49ers. Outside of that, I mean, I think he did have one against the Cowboys there. I really do believe he had one against the Cowboys. I'm trying to find that. He had 2 against the 49ers, so he had that one. I don't know, he had 2 against the 40. He had 3 against the 49ers. He didn't have any extra point attempts against Dallas. He was 6 for 7. Against the 49ers, he was 2 for 2 from 20 to 29. He was 0 for 1 from 40 to 49. That was the big miss that he had there. 40 to 49 was the problem, though, for Anders Carlson. He's 4 for 8 from 40 to 49 on the season. He's technically 4 for 9 if you count postseason stats in there. He was 3 for 5 from 50 plus. And then you look at his 30 to 39, he was perfect, 14 for 14. 20 to 29, he was 6 for 6. Technically 8 for 8 if you count the postseason stats there. I mean, the problem with him is from 40 to 49. I don't get that. You're 3 for 5 from 50 plus, but you go 4 for 9 down there from 40 to 49. What? That's an odd stat. That's an odd stat right there. But Anders Carlson, I could see as a potential comeback breakout player because I don't believe it could get worse there for Anders Carlson. A couple other of my breakout candidates, and a lot of people might have these guys as their breakout candidates leading into this next season. My first one is going to be Dontavian Wicks. I love what I see out of Dontavian Wicks. This is a big-bodied, strong hands. I mean, his route running, very good, right? Very athletic guy. Doesn't have the burner speed, right, of, let's just say, like a Christian Watson. But, I mean, this is a solid... I don't want to compare him to Davante Adams. Trying to think of... I mean, a Davante Adams-ish player, right? You throw it in his radius, the guy brings it in. I mean, you talk about him last year there. He was 39 for 58 receptions to targets there, 581 yards. He had 4 touchdowns. Solid year, but I think this guy is a guy with a ton of ceiling left, right? I don't think he's close. I don't think last season we saw a lot of good, but I don't think he was at his ceiling yet. I think there's a lot to come for Dontavian Wicks, especially working with some other good wide receivers. I mean, I'm going to get to another one here, and Jaden Reed, who I have as a breakout candidate. He was a breakout last year. I think it's only going to get better for him, but Romeo Doubs. I mean, Romeo Doubs, Dontavian Wicks, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson. I know there's a lot of good wide receiver cores, not just in all of football, but in the NFC North. I mean, you have Addison and Jefferson. You have Keenan Allen, and they just got a couple of other good wide receivers in there. I'm trying to remember who the Bears just got for wide receivers. Now it's going to bite me. Somebody out there listening to this is probably just like, dude, how didn't you know that? How didn't you know that they had, so-and-so on their roster there? because sometimes I blank. And I can't figure it out. DJ Moore. That's the guy I'm thinking of. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Romeo Odunze, who they just drafted there. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of good receiving cores in the NFC, in the NFL, in the NFC North, right? But I think a lot of people look past this receiving core that the Green Bay Packers have. I mean, you talk about it last season, you had 3 guys over 500 yards. I think the big thing that separates what we see, let's just say with Justin Jefferson and the Vikings, or, I mean, you could look at Stephon Diggs with the Bills. I mean, you look all over. There's that one-star wide receiver who really puts them over the top. Jamar Chase with the Bengals, right? I could keep naming them off as they come to my head. But I think the Packers' biggest weapon is all the weapons, right? I don't think it's one guy. I think one day Jaden Reed could be the number 1 wide receiver on this field. He could be, right? He's just burning everybody. He's having a fantastic day. And then the next game out, I think Romeo Doubs could be the number 1 guy. And then Dontavian Wicks. And then Christian Watson, right? The Packers have the ability with so much and so many good, talented wide receivers that they have just a fantastic ability to be able to spread the football around and make things happen, that I think this is a dangerous wide receiver core. So I could honestly say those 4 guys I just named, potential breakout candidates for this next season, and I think it could be as a whole that we see them have a breakout year there. So those are some of my breakout candidates. There was probably more off the top of my head. I'm going to get to them as we get there, but we got a couple other things I want to get into today. So I want to look over at let's get into some MLB. Let's get into some MLB talk real quick. Let's just dive into the standings. I just want to look over the standings real quick, see where everybody's sitting right now. So in the AL, let's look at the AL first. In the AL East, we have the Baltimore Orioles, who have jumped ahead of the Yankees, something that we didn't see coming as good as the Yankees were. The Yankees have lost 3 of 7. They're 3-7 in their last 10 games right now. The Yankees have been falling off. The Orioles took advantage. They're not doing too much better themselves, though, 4-6 over those last 10 games there. Technically, I mean, you look at the bottom of the division, the Tampa Bay Rays back at 500, 7-3 in their last 10 games. They have the best last 10 games there in the division right now, and they're sitting in the 4th place spot there. So Baltimore, then the Yankees, then the Red Sox, who are sitting 8 games back, followed by the Rays. And then we see the Toronto Blue Jays at the end there. Next up in the AL Central, we see the Cleveland Guardians having a very good season. 53-30 overall. They lead the Central ahead of the Twins right now by 6 games. Twins have been hot, 7-3 in their last 10, but that tells you how well the Guardians have been playing there over this course of the season right now. Guardians 27-9 at home. That is an impressive home win-loss record there. Away, they're 26-21. So if you're going to play the Guardians, you want them on the road. You want them coming to your place. Minnesota Twins, like I said, they're coming in second there. Royals in that 3rd spot, 7.5 back. Then we have the Tigers and then the White Sox. Tigers 16 games back. White Sox 31 games back. Can you mathematically eliminate teams from the postseason before it starts? Because that's what I would do. That's what I would do. I would eliminate the White Sox already there. So getting out of the Central to the West, we have the Mariners up top there. They lead the Astros by 3.5 games. Astros have been finding it again here. I mean, Astros 3.5 back, 8-2 in their last 10 games, 43-42. That tells you how bad of a start they had there, but they're climbing back. Kind of what I expected was to see the Astros at the top of the division, followed by the Mariners. We're seeing it, but in a flipped order so far, but the Astros find their way back. Astros, then Rangers in that 3 spot. They're 7.5 back. Angels, 9.5. And then the Oakland Athletics, already to 30 wins on the season. I think this has been a productive season for the Oakland Athletics. They are 17 games back of first place right now. In the NL, looking at the NL East, the Phillies, they lead the division yet. I mean, they've been phenomenal all season long. At home, 33-14. On the road, 23-15. This is a team that doesn't lose often. Plus 123 in the run differential. 7-3 in their last 10 games. They're 9 games up on the Atlanta Braves, who come in that 2nd spot there. Followed by the Mets, 13 games back. Got a game above 500 there. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. Mets watch out. Watch out. Frank must have conjured up something out there in New York because the Mets are starting to find something. Nationals 17 games back of first place right now, and then the Marlins are 26 games back. Looking over at the NL, we'll go to the NL West first before we get to the Central. We have the Dodgers in first, 52-33 right now, plus 119 in run differential, 6-4 in their last 10 games right now. Still trailing the Phillies for that number one spot, followed by the Padres, who have been playing some better baseball, 46-43, 8 games back of first place. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. Giants, they're sitting 42-44, 10.5 back. And then we look Diamondbacks, 41-43, they're 10.5 back. And then the Rockies sitting 22.5 games back. And the Rockies are giving the Brewers fits, and they've given them fits for a while now. I mean, what was it? 2 days ago I saw this stat. The Brewers haven't won there in like 6 or 7 games now. I mean, just ridiculous. Just ridiculous how well the Rockies play against the Brewers, especially when we go out to Coors Field. You would think the ball flies a little bit better, but not for us, just for them. I mean, it's ridiculous. So Rockies sitting at the bottom of the division, but they're playing some stingy games. They play some stingy games. I mean, they've scored 358 runs on the season. It's just that pitching staff is just bad. 499 runs given up. I think that might be... The Rockies have given up the most runs of any team in baseball so far this season. They've almost given up 500 runs. That is ridiculous. To put that into comparison to the Chicago White Sox, who are sitting at 31 games back and 24-63, they've given up 436. Now, probably doesn't help to play Coors Field so the ball flies a little bit better. But same time, it's like the White Sox suck. The White Sox suck, and the Rockies have found a way to give up more runs. They have found a way. They have found a way out there. So, I mean, that tells you where everybody outside of the Central is sitting right now. Now we look at the Central. The Brewers, they're up on top yet. They're 5.5 games up on the St. Louis Cardinals, who come in that second spot right now. Winners of 7 of their last 10 games are the Cardinals. Every season, I've said it. I've been waiting for the Cardinals to find their way back. They found their way back. They're finally playing some decent baseball. They're finally putting something together. Mason Wynn's playing pretty well. Paul Goldschmidt still can't figure it out. I think Father Time finally caught up to him there. Arenado's still doing his thing, kind of, right? He's still making pretty good defensive plays. I saw a very good defensive play by him just the other day. So, I mean, Arenado's still playing at his all-star caliber level. But this kind of takes the Cardinals out of the trade at the deadline situation. So I expect most likely to see the Cardinals sit stagnant and maybe add pieces in there. Maybe look to trade Paul Goldschmidt. That'd be an interesting guy or an interesting topic there. I don't know what Cardinals fans feel, but I could see Paul Goldschmidt potentially being on the trade block there, and maybe some team out there like the Yankees or the Dodgers thinking that they could grab this old guy and make him good again, because that's what it seems like they love to do. That's what, I mean, look at the Dodgers. I mean, they love their old guy. They love to bring in older pieces. The Yankees really are notorious for it, bringing in older pieces and hoping that they can figure something out there. So, Cardinals in that 2 spot. The Pittsburgh Pirates, 9.5 games back of first place right now. They're putting something together. It might not be great, but they're putting something together. Cincinnati Reds, they're 10 games back first place right now. And then I love it. I love to see it. You gotta love to see it. Chicago Cubs, 11.5 games back of first place right now. Gotta love it. Gotta love it there. So there are your MLB standings right now. So that's where everybody's kind of sitting right now. Definitely. I mean, if I was looking at the NL right now, power rankings for me, and I'm going to go with my top 5, Phillies, Dodgers, Brewers, then I throw the Braves, and then I'd probably lean towards the Padres right now. 7-3 in their last 10 games. They've been looking a little bit better. I would go Phillies, Dodgers, Braves, or Philly, Dodgers, Brewers, Braves, and then Padres there in that 5 spot. In the AL, I'm looking Baltimore Orioles. I mean, that's tough. That's tough because I could also say the Cleveland Guardians. I would say as of right now, I would take Baltimore over the Guardians. But the way that they've been playing as of late, I would say Guardians, Orioles. Then I would have to go Yankees. And then I'm throwing the Seattle Mariners. And then I would probably lean towards the Minnesota Twins coming in that next spot. They're 7-3 in the last 10 games, but playing a little bit better. I would take them in that spot there. So there's my power rankings out of it there. We're running a little bit long today. We're running a little bit long. Lots of good chatter going on today, though. I want to get to a little bit of Brewer talk today here. It's simple. We watched the game 2 nights ago. And for some reason, I forgot to talk about it yesterday. I can't believe it. It slipped my mind. I was just thinking about it. Yeah, I was like driving to work, and I was like, what did I forget? I forget that talk about something last night because they kept bothering me. And then I was like, how didn't I talk about Pat Murphy getting ejected out of that game on the Joey Ortiz play? So this play was more complex than what I thought originally. And, people out there might say fair weather baseball fans and everything like that. Sure. Right. But this is a dumbfounded rule that even Jeff Levering and Vinny were trying to figure out last night there. So there's a difference between the base path and a running lane. So essentially, the runner is allowed to run 3 feet either way of his base path to avoid a tag. More than that, and the runner is out. Of course, you'll never see an umpire with a tape measure. They eyeball it, everything like that. So there is a running lane. Technically, there is a base path. But you can run outside of the base path under the certain stipulation that somebody is trying to tag you. So what they saw is when Joey Ortiz went to avoid the tag, they said that he ran further than 3 feet out of the path, right? You can run 3 feet out, but you have to stay within that 3 feet, either way. And he, according to the umps last night there, he ran further than that. Now, do I agree? No. I don't think I would love to take my tape measure out there and measure what the difference is between the running lane lines, because there's the base path and then there's a line on the outside there. I wonder what the measurement of that is. Somebody has to know it out there. I'm really interested to know if there's got to be a measurement line, because you look at that, Joey Ortiz was running, if anything, 6 inches inside of the base path line, right? And when he tried to avoid the tag, I just don't believe that he ever stepped further out than that. I just really, I'm trying to, there's got to be a metric on it. Somebody out there probably knows it. So you have your coach's box. The coach's box is approximately, there's the base path. Heading over to it, 6 inches? Oh, that's rough. There is a line right there. I'm trying to see what my measurements are. It's 6 feet from 3 feet on each side of the baseline there. I'm trying to see, there's got to be a measurement. There has to be a measurement that's telling me how far that is out of there. I have a full diagram up on the screen here right now. And I'm trying to see how far it is away from that. I'm going to go with it's less than 3 feet. If it's not, it's 3 feet on the nose. So Joey Ortiz definitely did not run outside of 3 feet off that, off the base path, off the line. He swerved over. And there's no way that was 3 feet. No way. I just couldn't see it. I could not see that being 3 feet. So he gets the call. He's out there making his case, right? Pat Murphy comes walking out, and Pat Murphy wasn't even hot right away, right? I wonder what he said. I wonder what he said. This is where I wish they had every manager mic'd up when they went out and suck dumps, because I think that'd be hilarious. Because he started laughing a little bit there, and I think a lot of it is the first base ump walked over and he gave Pat Murphy his explanation, right? And then Pat walked over and he talked to the home plate ump, because it's not just on the first base ump to make that call. It's also on the home plate umpire to make that call too. He's watching the trail of the play. He can see the baseline. He can see where Joey Ortiz is. He can gauge it, right? He can gauge it out there. Excuse me there. And I just truthfully don't. It really seemed like it was a quick toss, and Pat Murphy must have said just the right thing. And I kind of love it. I kind of love it, because he went out there, he stuck up for his guy. He said, basically, probably said, you guys are terrible at your jobs. Like, this is a simple call. How are you not able to make this call? And that must have been it. That must have been it. And it blew my mind. It really did. I thought they were going to have this little conversation and they would reverse the call. Nothing off of it. I thought that was a baffling call to me. I know a lot of people out there thought it was baffling. Truthfully, I didn't. Truthfully, I mean, knowing the rule now, it's tough. It's tough to gauge that call, but at the same time, in that spot, what we saw, I just feel like Joey Ortiz had run further in that out to be able to even just sit there and say, yep, he ran outside. Like, I feel like he had to have been further out there. So that's enough about that. Pat Murphy, like I said, he gets ejected. Not good news there. But in last night's game, some good news. I mean, if there was some good news last night there, Dallas Keuchel didn't look bad. I mean, I know it's the Rockies, so don't even get me started. It's the Rockies. I get that. But Dallas Keuchel pitched a pretty good game. He had everything working. 5 1/3, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, that home run given up there, 2 walks. Not a bad day. Right? If Keuchel can give me 5, not a bad day. And 2 runs, I mean, I get it. The Brewers can't figure out the Rockies, but 2 runs, I mean, that's not a bad day at the office for anybody. And Dallas Keuchel threw a pretty good game for the Brewers there. I mean, I know Paredes had to come in then. He got a hit. He gave up a hit there, 2 walks. He struggled. Milner came in for a third of an inning, then struggled, or got him out. And then Brian Hudson, he came in, inning and a third, gave up a run, 2 walks, strikeout for him there. Rob's Zastrini, this guy might be my favorite. He might be a solid replacement for Jared Canning. And when he comes back, Rob might have a spot in that bullpen too. I love what I'm seeing out of Rob Zastrini so far. And if Canning can come back and be a little bit of a later innings guy for the Brewers, and then we see guys like Devin Williams come back there too, I mean, could you potentially see the Brewers? I don't think Payamps has got any options. I'll be honest with you. I really don't think he's got options left. But could you see the Brewers? I mean, you look at their bullpen right now, and you have guys like, it's going to get tough in the pitching department too. I mean, you want to go with the guys that are rolling. And if Payamps isn't rolling, maybe the Brewers make a move there. Maybe it's I really do like Hobie Milner, but Hobie Milner has had some rough outings. I know that ERA is a little bit higher right now, 4.76. Over his last couple outings, I mean, against Colorado in that game on the first, there 2 innings, an earned run on 2 hits. Texas, he gave up an earned run. He just hasn't been that same guy that we remember. So those are 2 guys. Those are 2 guys that we could see moving. I don't know. It's going to be definitely something to watch out for there. The movement of pitching or pitchers when some of these guys come back there, and if other guys continue to produce, because I would hate to see Zastrini be sent down and for him to be pitching like he is and be sent down. I'd hate that. And even a guy like Dallas Keuchel, I know he was only worth $1, right? We traded $1. We got Dallas Keuchel. I get that. But if Dallas Keuchel's pitching well. I mean, we preached about experience last year with Josh Donaldson. Dallas Keuchel's an experienced pitcher who's been there, done that in the postseason. How do you move on from that? That'd be tough. So, I mean, just some things to keep an eye on there in the Brewers pitching department right now. Outside of that, I would say the only other big topic guy, or the big everybody seems to be talking about him right now, is Willy Adames. Adames, you look at him over his last 7 games, 179. He has had some better games against the Colorado Rockies. I believe he's had a couple games now. He had 3 hits in the first one. Second game of the series, he had a couple hits there too. I mean, he's had a couple games now with a couple hits. He's had some RBIs sprinkled in there in that first game. Strikeouts have been down in Colorado. I know it's not the best of pitching, but we've seen him kind of turn around. But before that, he was on an 0-for streak. Started in the Rangers series, didn't have a hit all the way through the Cubs series, and we continuously see him out there. I get it. People's frustrations with Willie. I would, for me personally, I would be okay if you moved Willy Adames around in the lineup a little bit. I would still keep him in there, right? He's still a solid defender and everything like that. I mean, I'm not going to take away from what he does on defense. When him and Joey Ortiz are out there, along with Bryce Terang, that is a solid middle infield and left side of the infield there for the Brewers. So I don't want to take him out of the lineup completely, but I think he could use a little less pressure, which I think could come from maybe an RBI spot there in the 5-hole, the 6-hole. Could potentially be RBI spots for him. So I'd be okay with moving him down a little bit there. Who you bring up to that middle, I mean, Garrett Mitchell has showed some pop at times. I don't want to see Sal Frelick in the cleanup spot again, like we saw with Craig. I like William Contreras in that 2-hole. Terang's my 1. I think Yelich is a solid 3. Rhys Hoskins, if he ever finds that bat in that 4-hole. Gary Sanchez. I just, whenever I think 4-hole, I think of my power guy. Who's got the most power in my lineup? That's the guy I want in my 4-hole. Who's going to give me the best shot at a home run? Now, Willy Adames is definitely up there in that category. But, if Willie continues to struggle in RBI spots, I'd be okay if you fluctuated guys. Right? I'm not saying make Rhys Hoskins the permanent guy until he starts hitting. I believe Rhys Hoskins will start hitting at some point. I think he needs to stay in there consistently, and I think he will find his bat. But until he does, I mean, you could make it a revolving door at the cleanup spot. You could keep moving things around. Maybe have a guy back clean up this day, 5 the next. I mean, keep moving things around until you find a lineup that just seems to work out that much better. So, I mean, that's where I'm at right now there. A little bit of Brewer talk all over the place. We didn't get to the fresh on the... We're running long today. We're running long. We didn't get to the fresh on the farm report today. That's okay. We'll get to it tomorrow. Definitely, we will get to it tomorrow. I promise you. We will get to you. We will get to the Fresh on the Farm report tomorrow. There, we'll look all around the minor leagues and see what's going on in the Brewers with their affiliates right now and see who's producing, who's not, who's struggling, who isn't, whatever we got to see down there, where they're sitting record-wise there. So with that, that's about all I got for today. It was a great show, great day. Love chatting, love just throwing out there what I'm thinking on that day there. But, I mean, like I've always say, if you can, if you will, go into the reviews, leave a comment, leave a question that you have, whatever it is. Like I said earlier, in the bio, there's a send us a text message. It sends fan mail to us on our uploading site there. So if you want to reach us, let us know what you thought of the show, everything like that. Definitely shoot us a message there. And like I always say, it's great chatting. It's always great chatting. And I love that. I just hope that it continues to grow. I hope that it continues to grow because I think Wisconsin sports are something that needs to be talked about more, predominantly just as Wisconsin sports. And I love talking about it. I love talking about it and hearing your guys' feedback there. So with that, that's all we got for today. This has been Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage. Thank you all for listening. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. But until I talk to you guys again tomorrow, deuces.
Yeah, oh my Lord, watch me sway. Darkness falls and we all pray, hoping for the light of day. Down to the river, I have held the devil's hand, felt the weight of my own sin, burdened by the heart of man. Down to the river, down to the river.